Hi, icons. It's Danny Pellegrino from the pop culture podcast Everything Iconic, and I love Nordstrom. No place better to shop, particularly during the holiday season, because they have everything. They have holiday decor at Nordstrom. They have cozy cardigans from Barefoot Dreams, my fave. They have cold weather attire, party attire, plus free shipping and free returns, free store pickup. You can also purchase a recycled fabric gift bag so your item arrives festive and wrapped. So check out Nordstrom this holiday season, a one-stop shop. You can explore more at Nordstrom in-store or online at nordstrom.com.
On today's Smart 7, Rishi won't give up on Rwanda, David Cameron heads to Kyiv and much more. It's Friday 17th of November, it's Homemade Bread Day and happy birthday Danny DeVito.
The Smart 7. It's news, but not the news.
After Wednesday's Supreme Court decision appeared to end the proposed Rwanda scheme, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak was keen to promise that there would still be flights departing by spring. That depends on passing new legislation, which would declare Rwanda a safe country despite the court rulings. However, there appears to be little chance of getting that legislation passed, as it would require cooperation from opposition parties and could still run into trouble in the House of Lords. The other element is a new treaty with Rwanda, and Foreign Secretary James Cleverly, who hasn't explicitly denied calling the Rwanda scheme batshit, says that the treaty is almost complete.
We preempted this, so we've been working on this for well over a year now, which means that we are in the final stages of turning this MOU into a treaty, so that can be done quickly. The legislation that would need to go through the House could be tight and simple and pass quickly.
Former Defence Minister Tobias Ellwood wasn't giving up on Rishi's Operation Rwanda either, despite the Supreme Court ruling.
The Supreme Court didn't say that it was wrong in concept. There was a problem with whether or not Rwanda would then move these migrants on to somewhere else. That's why we're going to look at a new treaty to make sure that that doesn't happen, to strengthen the institutional capability of Rwanda and then move forward with this.
Israel announced on Thursday evening that they'd uncovered another tunnel and supplies of weapons underneath the Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza. IDF troops continue to search the hospital compound and also reported finding the body of one of the missing hostages. There will be no humanitarian aid deliveries on Friday, according to the UN Relief Agency, as communications with their teams in Gaza are down because of lack of fuel. Meanwhile, at home, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer remained under pressure on Thursday after 10 frontbenchers were sacked or resigned in a protest over the vote calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. He's not out of the woods yet either, as there's plenty of talk about further resignations if Labour doesn't reflect the views of many of its members and their calls for a full ceasefire. Starmer says the priority shouldn't be internal Labour politics. It should be about getting aid into Gaza and the hostages out safely.
You wouldn't expect me to stand here today and say my concern is the Labour Party management rather than the hostages and the innocent civilians and children that are dying in Gaza. My focus and attention is there.
Shadow Defence Minister John Healey was backing his boss, and he says that the party remains unified and that the days of protest votes are gone.
We're not a protest party. We want people to give us the confidence at the next election to be in government, and this is part of the job that we have to do.
Lord Cameron hasn't been hanging around in his new role as Foreign Secretary. Before you could say Green Seal capital, he was on a plane to Kyiv to meet with Ukrainian President Zelensky and offer the UK's continued support. It's been a tough few weeks for Ukraine, as US funding and military support seems to be drying up and the winter freeze is about to set in. Ukrainian forces have been making slow progress in Kherson, and Zelensky says they've also pushed back the Russian Navy in the Black Sea. David Cameron was keen to emphasise the UK's commitment to the cause.
We will continue to give you the moral support, the diplomatic support, the economic support, but above all the military support that you need, not just this year and next year, but however long it takes.
Met Police Commissioner Mark Rowley must have been secretly relieved this week as Rishi finally fired his nemesis, Home Secretary Suella Braverman. She had piled immense pressure on him as she called the pro-Palestinian protests hate marches, and her rhetoric arguably created the issues with right-wing counter-protesters last weekend. He was in a more optimistic mood on Thursday as he spoke to the Institute for Government to outline the next steps in his plan to clean up and modernise London's police force.
We put a 2-year plan out and we'll make massive progress in that time. I mean, no organisation's ever perfect, so you can't draw a sort of false line, say we're not perfect today and we're perfect on that date, but we will make a massive amount of progress over those 2 years.
Still to come on today's Smart 7, Dua Lipa writes a lot of songs and golf's big weekend gets underway. Right after this.
If you could put all the wonders of the world into one place, you'd end up with something very much like Key Largo. Key Largo is not only the gateway to the Keys, it's the launching point for the untamed Florida Everglades. In fact, from snorkeling our living coral reef to fly fishing the Everglades backcountry, Key Largo offers the best of both worlds. For more about Key Largo and the latest safety protocols, visit flakeys.com/Key Largo.
Welcome back.
This weekend sees the DP World Championship take place in Dubai. It's one of the world's biggest golfing weekends, with 2 events on, the championship itself and the race to Dubai. Rory McIlroy has already won the race for the 5th time before the weekend even properly starts, as he has an unbeatable lead at the top of the European Order of Merit. So he had time to explain why he stepped down from the PGA Tour's policy board this week, and he says really it's because he doesn't have enough time.
I just felt like something had to give. I just didn't feel like I could commit the time and the energy into doing that. You know, I don't mind being busy, but, you know, I just like being busy doing my own stuff.
Pop star Dua Lipa is everywhere at the minute. She's promoting her new single and she has a brand new album on the way. Along with that, she picked up 2 Grammy nominations at the weekend, so she's got plenty to celebrate. She's popped up on Radio 1, on US talk shows, and even in an interview for Rolling Stone magazine. And she's been pretty busy writing songs too, penning an incredible 97 songs for her new album, including her new hit single, Houdini.
Here in my notebook, which I've written every song of this record, I have 97 songs. And I have little fold out pages somewhere here in my notebook where I just write down different titles or things that I thought about. And in this foldy page, I had Houdini written down. And I'd show you this, but there's just too much tea.
Christmas is coming, and that inevitably means a house full of bored kids on school holiday. But don't despair, Disney Plus have just the thing lined up to keep them fascinated. There's a brand new series based on the Percy Jackson books, which features a normal 12-year-old demigod Perseus Jackson, who discovers his powers and then does battle with mythical creatures. There were 2 films based on the books, but now a new 8-part series follows the adventures of Percy after he's accused of stealing Greek god Zeus's thunderbolt. The first 2 episodes drop on December 20th.
Perseus. That's me.
Mm-hmm. That's who you're named after.
Because he was a hero?
Because he was brave and kind and against all odds, he managed to find his way to a happy ending.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.